Welcome YouTube, and hello to all my Buster buddies. I am your host Brad Claybaugh, and this is Brad's Boredom Busters, your textile art channel. This is the channel where we have fun with fabric. Alright, on today's project we are going to be doing another Halloween shirt. I got comments from the first one, our jack-o'-lantern, that was a little involved with the airbrush, and I understand that. That's not a problem. So I have one for you today that it doesn't need anything else other than your tie-dye talents. So the project today is going to be a skull. Yes, we are going to tie-dye a skull on the front of a shirt. And so the materials you're going to need for that is an all-white cotton t-shirt. You need to pre-wash that first. And then once it's done, you can take it and soak it in soda ash water for 20 minutes. Then take it back to your washer and spin it out so it's slightly damp, and then it's ready to fold up. In this project we're going to be using sinew. We're also going to do some stitching of some of the details like the eye of the skull, and also rubber bands to help scrunch up the excess. We might actually do a little bit of a detail in the back of the shirt as well. So now that we got all our materials set, we can go over to the table and start folding that up. All right, we'll see you there. All right, Busters, so here we are. So we've got our shirt all prepped, pre-washed, soaked in soda ash, ready to go. This one is a large, and so we need to turn it inside out and then center it. Okay, after you've got that centered, now we're going to pull just the front of the shirt forward. Grab the two marks you made, shake that out, lay it down. Pull the back sleeve into the front sleeve, that way it lays flatter. Okay, there we go. Let's smooth that out a little bit. Good. Okay, so now we get to have fun drawing a skull. So, just determine how high up you want it. I usually like to keep things not right up at the collar, just down maybe 3 fingers to the top of the skull. So you're going to come out, around and down, then the lower jaw is going to be a separate piece. So you don't want to go too low. So let's say we're going to finish off about here, and then a gap, and then the jaw. Okay, so make a nice skull shape. Maybe not that much. Like that. Actually, maybe that first line. I like the first line better now. Not that one. Okay, good. Then our lower jaw comes around and then slightly up and down like that. That might be a little big. That's not bad. Okay, so now the one thing though about a skull, I kind of figured this out when I did a sample one. If you look at skulls from the bottom of the, well, where the teeth and to the top of the head, your eyes are pretty much right in the center. So make your eye sockets, and the eye sockets are all kind of square with rounded edges. Then your nose is just below that, like that. All right, that's your skull. And so now what we're gonna do, I like to stitch up the eye. If you've ever seen any of my rainbow sea turtle videos, you saw how I stitched to help tie up the fins. This is kind of the same thing. It's just a detail that's right in the middle, and it's just easier, I feel, to stitch around it, pull the thread tight, then that gathers it, and then you can get your sinew around that. So let's get this stitched off. Got my thread on it. You want to use kind of a heavy duty thread. I use kind of it's a upholstery thread, I believe. And just a simple knot in it just to keep it from pulling through the shirt. There we go. And I think this is long enough to go around, I hope. Okay, let's get this stitched off. Go through. Oh, and the type of needle you want to use, because t-shirt material is a knit, and so it's a stretch knit, and so it's recommended to use like a ballpoint needle. A sharp needle can actually break the threads as it goes through. The ballpoint kind of makes it easier to go between the cotton weaving. And even sometimes, even with the ballpoint though, it does, get kind of caught. You just have to kind of wiggle it and play with it, but it'll get in there eventually. But like I say, it does work better with a ballpoint needle. Alright, there we go, around the eye. Cut that a little long. Okay. So now we can gather that and tie that off with sinew. And get up underneath it to kind of push it up. There we go. Okay. After that's gathered, you want to just kind of try and keep it as horizontal and parallel to each other all the way around that to create a nice little area to tie off. I'll get my sinew ready. Tie a slip knot in your sinew. Get the sinew ready for the nose. Come to the corner, then you just have to kind of fold that line around. keep going. Just trying to keep everything as straight as you can. It's a little challenging with these small parts that have corners. There we go. Now lash that with the sinew. Okay, now we can do the head. Okay, now we can tie off the jaw. So because we're kind of close to it and we've already pleated that, it actually creates pleats down this first line, so you just kind of use those. Okay, so there's our skull. So when you dye this, this is the eye. It'll be black. Your nose will be black. Then the skull is white and the chin is white. And so you can do whatever color you want around it. I usually do black kind of outline around the base of it and in the gap, and then different colors beyond it. Let's see. We're gonna do something in the back, maybe a little fancy. When these shirts are pulled just the front forward, it leaves the back for some opportunity to do something on it, so. Okay, there we go. So here's our skull. Remember, the eye will be black, the nose area is black, this stays white, that stays white. We're going to use some thick, clear water to help keep these areas white. And then back here, just did a little bitty pumpkin. So it'll be orange and green. And I'll probably do black and purple stripes in the back and black around the skull and probably either lavender, deep purple, and some lime pop in the body. Okay, I'll see you out at the laundry sink to dye this up. I need to mix up some thick water, and so the formula for that is for every 1 cup of water you need a 1/4 teaspoon of sodium alginate, and this is the brand that really is preferred, and I'll put a link for that in the description below. Alright busters, so here we are out ready to dye our skull shirt. So if you remember, this part here is our skull, this is the eye and nose, and this is the chin. We tied up a little pumpkin in the back here, and then we just created some striping, and then the body. So on the skull, I want to use some thick water to try and keep it as white as possible, so we don't get too much bleeding into that. And so I have my thick water here. So the formula though is for every cup of hot to warm water, you just use a 1/4 teaspoon of the sodium alginate to create your thick water, and then you let it sit between a half hour to an hour to actually thicken up properly. And then after you've made that, you can actually add that to other dyes if you need them to be thickened up. Quite often there's patterns that have black stripes, and it's not uncommon to thicken up the black dye so it doesn't spread beyond where you want just that stripe. Okay, so let's get started. So like I say, so the nose and the eye will be black. Obviously the skull, chin is white. I've got mixed up some orange marmalade for the pumpkin. I've got lime pop for the stem of the pumpkin. I will be using new black on the parts and stripes and different parts of the shirt, and I believe we will probably be using Chinese red and lavender as well. That'll probably be in the body of the shirt, and then it'll probably be overlaid with black. Okay, let's get started. This is actually ultraviolet. Also, I want to put on here. Alright, now I'm going to overlay all this with black. Okay, let me get this in the tub real quick and then we'll talk. Okay, so that'll sit in my curing tub for at least 24 hours. Then after that, we'll bring it back here to the sink and we'll do a rinse out. We'll start with cold water to help rinse out the soda ash and some loose dye. Then we'll turn it up to hot to help get out more of the excess dye. Then after it's rinsed out and the water is running almost clear, it can go in the laundry. We'll wash in a hot wash and cold rinse cycle with detergent and Synthropol, which is a professional textile detergent that I get from Dharma. And then after it's washed and dried, we'll bring it in and do a reveal. So we'll see you then. See ya at the reveal. Alright, Busters, so here is our Happy Halloween skull shirt. I think it came out really cool. We had a little bit of bleeding around it, but for the skull, it makes it kind of cool looking. Makes it almost look like teeth around the mouth area there. So yeah, this one's a real winner. Yeah, I think this one was a great success. I hope you like this because I know people were complaining about the jack-o'-lantern was challenging because you needed an airbrush. This one you get a whole face without using anything extra than just your tie-dye materials. Let's take a look at the back. That came out real well too with the little pumpkin in the back there and then the spine stripe around the pumpkin. So that one came out great too. Yep, this was a good success. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you learned something new. Hey, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. Share my videos around. That really helps me out. All right, let's head over to the desk and sign off. All right, Busters, that project came out really cool. Hey, I hope you learned something new on this project. Hey, if you really like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming projects. And hey, if you really want to help out my channel, go to my Buy Me a Coffee page and buy me a coffee. That really helps me out. Hey, all right, thanks for watching. Love you all, folks. Peace out, baby, and go bust out some art.